Hey everybody, Barry at CTech-review. Today, we are gonna give you our thoughts and views after 5,500 miles of ownership on the 2025 Ram 1500 RHO. Let's get into this. There it is, 6,127 miles. Look, no check engine lights. This last tank, I actually ended up getting about 14.4 miles per gallon, so that's cool. Everything's working good. Okay, so we've been racking up the miles. At the current rate, we're gonna be getting probably 25 to 30,000 miles in 2025 in this truck. We've had the truck just over 3 months now, coming up just shy of 5,500 miles. And I wanna give you my thoughts and perspectives after owning all the generation F-150 Raptors before this, including Bronco Raptor, as well as Raptor R, and why I think in 2025, at the time of doing this video, this is the best value half-ton truck available. So let me first start with this. Why do I think this is the best truck value available? When you look at the starting MSRP of this truck in 2025, it's at $72,000. All right, so for $72,000, what do you get? Well, for $72,000, you're gonna get a leather trimmed interior with heated seats, heated steering wheel, long travel suspension with a dual valve Bilstein shock, 35-inch tires, locker in the rear, 540 horsepower, wide body, and awesome. This engine and transmission combination is incredible. And for those gonna say, man, I wish the Hemi's coming back, I think it's awesome the Hemi's coming back. With that being said, there's only one Hemi better than this engine, and that's the 6.2 Hellcat. And there are things that are a downside to that engine, as an example of why in some cases, actually I'd say the majority of cases, why people would actually like this better than a TRX is fuel economy. Okay, so you lose 160 horsepower versus the TRX, 702 or 707, I forgot what the final number was, I think it was 702. With that being said, when you look at the 0 to 60 and most of the practical times that you would use on a day-to-day basis of performance, dang, this thing it's a ripper. What would you miss coming from a TRX or a V8? Well, two basic obvious things: the exhaust sound and the supercharger sound, which sounds amazing. I love that. But you can't rip on this thing for performance, because just look at already what some of the base piggyback tuners have already came out with. I just saw an article from JB Ford, and I think it's Cat 6 or Diablo, one of those companies. These guys are getting near similar wheel horsepower to a TRX and a Raptor R with a base piggyback can tune. That's incredible. I can't imagine what this thing's gonna do once more tuning gets available to this. Also, the other thing that's amazing about this engine, I've talked to a company called, I think it's called Modern Extreme Muscle or Modern Muscle Hemi. I talked to these guys on the phone because these guys do, they got some really great videos. Shout out to these guys on tearing down the standard output and the high output Hurricane engine. They go through the internals and they compare everything. These guys told me that the internals on the high output Hurricane mimic the capability and performance and the material choices as the Hellcat. And they think that there are big horsepower options that are gonna be made on this engine with very simple bolt-on mods, not even having to get into the internals of the engine. Okay, so we talked about horsepower. We've talked about the price, MSRP, $72,000, but the story gets better on price. There are dealers out there like Mark Dodge, and there are other dealers that are marking these things down still $8,000, $10,000, $12,000. Okay, is $72,000, say minus 10 grand, a lot of money? For sure, it's still a ton of money. But for people that are in the market that are actually buying a new truck, when you start comparing what you can get for $62,000, that would be a Tacoma TRD Pro, and then add 10 grand on top of it. So you could have a full-size truck with 540 horsepower, or you could have a 300 horsepower hybrid mid-size truck and spend 10 grand more. And it's not a long travel suspension. It's not a full-size capability towing. It doesn't have the payload. Okay, so that's one option. Now let's compare it to its direct competitor, the F-150 Raptor. You guys know, if you watch my channel, I am a huge Raptor enthusiast, and I love the truck, and I look forward to getting another truck in a few years when it makes some changes, new chassis and all that stuff kind of comes out. How does it head up versus the Raptor? Well, these trucks have some really cool overlaps, and they also have some really cool differences. Engine to engine, you know, time will tell which is the better engine. Me personally, as it stands right now, I actually would prefer the Hurricane over the EcoBoost because I like how it builds power and I like how the engine doesn't sign off even at the high RPMs. This thing just rips right to redline. It reminds me very much, performance-wise, how it builds power to the Raptor R. It doesn't kind of sign off at the top like some other V8s in the market or some boosted 6-cylinders. The other thing, and I don't think this is to any surprise to anybody, this 8-speed trans far superior to the 10-speed trans in the F-150. Not only does it have a better reliability record than the 10-speed trans, and I can speak to this because I've had a few dozen Ford 10-speeds. I've also had to rebuild several of them. Actually, no, I've actually only had to rebuild one of them. But with that all being said, I still like the Ford 10-speed. It has great performance, but I think this is arguably a little bit better transmission for the performance. Now that I've towed with this, few thousand miles, a lot of highway driving, city driving, and now we've actually taken it off-road, I actually think the 8-speed transmission is a little better suited for my use. And what do I mean by that? It has less shifting, right? That's pretty obvious. But it seems like the 8-speed trans is better suited for towing. And I also think it's a little bit better suited for off-road. Just comparing yesterday when we were at the dunes doing some video, it just felt like first, second, third gear just felt really at place as far as the gear spacing with the 392 gears in the RHO. Okay, so we've talked about that. Now here's the other thing. For people that have had a TRX or currently have a TRX, you probably want to know, would I ever go from a TRX to an RHO? That's a tough one. You know, the TRX is a pretty sweet truck, and if you're happy with it, I totally get it. With that being said, what I like better about this than a TRX, you're going to pick up a little bit better fuel economy. City, highway, towing, from all aspects that I've seen so far, and I've done all of that with those other trucks, it does a little bit better. Maybe 1 mile per gallon, maybe 3 miles per gallon. Not a ton, but it is a little bit better. But the big thing I've noticed is off-road, this thing feels a lot different. This reminds me much more of an F-150 Raptor. The suspension feels less wallowy, more composed, and that little bit less weight up front by not having the Hellcat, this thing just feels a little bit better balanced off-road. So I like that as well. The other thing, if you spend a little bit more money and you jump into the level 1 truck, you can actually get hands-free driving, massaging seats. You can't get that on a TRX. Plus you get the little bit bigger display. But it's not all perfect. What are some of the things that I would like to see some improvements? Well, for starters, I would like to hear a little bit different exhaust tone. Not that this is bad. Going down the highway, I actually really like the stock exhaust. There's no drone in the cabin. It's dead quiet. Startup inside the cab is quiet. Cold start, not my favorite. Wide open throttle, not bad. That is not bad. It's everything other than wide open throttle. I kind of like, it's okay. It's not great, especially if you're coming from a V8 and you're just a V8 guy and this would be a first 6-cylinder engine. It's going to be a big transition for you. Rather, if you even go from, even if you just jump to an EcoBoost, that's a big transition. A lot of the Ford guys did this, 10, 15 years ago, going from V8s to 6-cylinders. And they're kind of used to it at that point, so it's not a big deal. The other thing, after the exhaust tone, what I'd like to see from an off-road perspective, what I would love is I would like to see Ram offer a 37 package option just like Ford does. I would go for that because it'd be a little bit better off-road, a little better clearance. It just makes the whole experience a little bit better off-road, especially in the approach angle up front. The other thing around off-road, I like that the Raptor has a camera system where when you put it in Baja mode, the front-facing cam is on constantly all the way up to whatever speed. This will not allow you to keep the front-facing cam on. I'm going to try to figure out, maybe you guys leave some comments down below if you have a trick on how to do that, but I haven't figured that out so far. The other thing, one of the things I think that makes the RHO and the TRX amazing is they really tried to go after the body lines of the Gen 1 Raptor. These huge bubbly body panels, they just look great. It's super wide body. Whereas Ford kind of switched away from as wide of a body and went wider fender flares. This doesn't have as wide of fender flares. This puts more into the body, and you really notice it when you look down the side of the bed. But there's a little bit of a downside. when you kick stuff off these front tires, you will hit some rash on here. So you got to kind of protect this area. I definitely recommend running some running boards, as well as probably, like in this case, I'm running the Rock Block XL mud flaps. And if you're interested in this, I got a lot of videos. I'll put links in the description for each of these installing and why I went with those. But I think PPF or some additional protection in this area. And if you've had Corvette Z06s or wide body cars in the past, this is not anything new for you, even Camaros, where you kind of got to protect certain areas where road rash kind of kicks off of the truck. Now, here's the big reason why I think you would go with an RHO versus some of the other off-road trucks in the market. Right here, this is incredible. This is best in class by a long shot. There is not an interior in a half-ton truck at this quality of an interior. Okay, yeah, you can get some Alcantara on some other seats. Very nice. But show me this like baseball leather, like Rawlings style leather on the seating. Alcantara suede up here, this real nice badging. Look at the dash on this thing. Everything, the carbon fiber, the fit and finish that kind of carries through the side panels, goes through the dash. You're not looking and seeing weird panel fit up. Leather handles to get in, heads up display. You've got a rear camera for your backup. You've got dual wireless charging, USB-A, USB-C, 3 of them plus HDMI, secondary screen. Here's the other big one, guys, right there, massaging seats. If you do a lot of driving like I do, you're gonna appreciate that option. Let's just start this up, see how smooth this thing is. The first thing you notice when you start up the RHO is you don't even know the engine's running because the startup is so smooth on this engine. I've never seen another engine startup as smooth as this thing. The infotainment in this thing, sorry, the display is kind of goofy with the LEDs, but the infotainment display, all the different options that kind of come with this thing, it's amazing. I wish it did have a little bit more redundant features on the side, especially for like heated seats and cooled seats. That's a one pet peeve of mine with this truck. I don't like having to go up and either hit that button there or go to your home screen. I just wish there was just a real quick, just simple physical button. Controls here are nice and laid out. I still haven't used the launch control. That's something I want to do in the future. Just another cool option, this navigation, factory nav is actually not bad. It includes some really nice features that I've been able to use. And what's cool is it brings some of the stuff over to this screen, then you can kind of play, send it to here. And then if you want, send it into your heads up display or put it down below here. It's pretty wild. You almost have 4 different ways to see your navigation in this truck. But just check out this steering wheel. It's really nice. It's got good bolstering on the side, good ergos. Your buttons are laid out nice all along the front. The carbon fiber looks nice, the flat bottom steering wheel. My favorite feature right here, the hands-free driving is amazing in this truck. I'm not disappointed in that at all. Then we've got our backup camera, and if you don't like the digital, which took me some time to get used to, but now I love it, you can go your traditional. Plus a pretty nice panoramic sunroof. Obviously, I've talked about this in others. Good storage above and below. And this is cool. We actually used this feature yesterday. We put an iPad in here so the boys could watch while we were driving to the dunes. That's a pretty neat feature. I didn't ever know what this would be used for, but we actually got a chance to use that yesterday. And then I know I've talked about this in other videos, but the amount of connectivity and options in this display setup is just wild. These performance pages are really cool. It's pretty neat, some of the stuff you can see on this truck. You can obviously see all your just different gauges, but this is the one that like our boys love to see this, where you can kind of rev the engine up. It's got like a real active dyno graph. You can kind of see your boost, horsepower, and torque. The sound system in this thing sounds great. At least from what I'm compared to, this is a really solid setup. Back row, obviously, like I said, it's a really nice setup. Show me another half-ton truck with heated and cooled seats, reclining second row, and a really nice center console that folds down with some nice speakers above. This is a really premium truck, and it's hard to believe that it's just an off-road truck, let alone not some premium trim model. And then this suspension, is it a Fox suspension? No. But I can tell you right now, I'm super impressed so far with what this thing will do, suspension-wise. Tires, I think these Goodyear Wranglers are not a bad tire. I actually have a set of this on the Gen 1 Raptor, and now I can speak to these. I think they're pretty decent. I'm not upset at how these perform on and off-road, and they've been good in the snow and ice. Tail lights look good as well. I think that looks pretty sharp. The power tailgate looks good. It's got some really nice beefy tow hooks in the rear. It's a sharp looking truck. So after 5,500 miles, would I recommend the RHO? Absolutely. I think for the money, this is the best value. And honestly, this made the competition really tough. It's gonna be hard for Ford and General Motors to answer back on this thing. And for those people on the fence, is the Hurricane a good engine? Well, I got 5,500 miles on mine so far. I've towed with this thing. I've ran premium, I've ran regular fuel, I've taken it off-road. The engine's not giving me one hiccup. It's not had one weird noise, nothing. I can only speak of good. And if you want to see the video when you did the oil change, you can see the oil analysis for yourself. And we're going to be doing another oil analysis here in another few thousand miles when we get to the point to the next oil change. So I'm not worried about the Hurricane. Nothing on it concerns me yet. Powertrain wise on this thing, I think this thing is solid. The question I want to see is, how is the rest of the truck going to hold up? How is the electronics going to hold up? Time will tell on this. There is no perfect option in the market right now, but I really do believe right now, this is a darn tough option to beat for the money. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe. It definitely helps out. Thanks for watching.